Yeah, that's right. We couldn't finish the canopy of our tiny shipping container house on time for this episode, but
don't worry, we have plenty to talk about. We had a lot of progress and that's what we're gonna show you today.
Yeah.
So, let's get started. As you guys know, we are using plyglass as the method of construction for our canopy. What we forgot to mention is that actually we have another reason for that.
in the future we want to build a box for our shower.
And this box needs to be 100% watertight. We cannot have any mistakes. And as we never done any bigger project with plyglass, we decided that it was a good opportunity to try out and to learn as much as we can, so when the time comes to build our shower box, we can do it right. But the reason why we're doing epoxy resin instead of regular resin is because when you do fiberglass, just the fiberglass wall and resin, you need to have a mold. And that's a lot of work to do only one piece. So a good way of doing a DIY fiberglass project is to use plywood and epoxy resin, and that's a way of avoiding to have a mold. Time to start working?
Yeah. Today we are gonna apply some fiberglass here on the top, and for that we need to sand it before and to apply some resin.
Yeah, so basically the fiberglass you apply on the corners, it's dry already.
Yeah, it's hard to see.
It's hard to see, but it's dry already. Now we just need to
Sand it a little
sand
bit.
so we can apply the second coat of epoxy on the corners,
Yeah.
and we can apply epoxy on the center with fiberglass wool.
Okay, let's go.
Another important fact that we need to mention is the precision of epoxy. That's tricky. Epoxy needs to be really precise the amount of each component. Otherwise, it's either not gonna dry or it's gonna get really hot that can even, melt the plastic bucket we are mixing. So in order to achieve this precision, we always use the precision scale. I don't know if you guys understood last week, but this is epoxy resin. So basically the mixture is 1/2. So let's mix some, because now we're gonna do a bigger surface. So I'm gonna try to do this full cup. A few of those actually. If I put this, now it's 0. Now I put epoxy. What I'm trying to do is to get an even number. So now I 0 again. And now we just need to move.
How do you know when it's done?
You can feel that right now it's not like both components are not together. And as you mix, you feel that it's one component. See, it's getting better.
It's homogenized. When we start building the canopy, Luca, as usual, thought it was a quick project.
I mean, I guess I'm just an optimist. I'm always dreaming ahead and think that this is gonna be done in 1 week. And in reality, things are a little bit different. We forgot to count that this piece of work is 3-dimensional. That means liquid epoxy plus 3-dimensional piece of wood. We cannot do all the epoxy at once. We need to do it in turns. We need to do a small piece at a time, right?
Yeah.
So the idea now is to paint this part.
Let's see if I learn this. So it took a lot more than we planned.
Yeah, because you have the right time to cure the epoxy until you can do the next part, and we didn't count on
The weather.
Yeah, the weather this week was probably the most humid weather on the past, I don't know, few months.
Yeah.
And that means that some days we thought we could do like 2 layers of epoxy, but the epoxy wouldn't dry at all, wouldn't cure. And in between coats of epoxy, usually with the epoxy we are using, takes 2 hours in between coats. So the epoxy needs to be sticky in order to apply the second coat of epoxy. But some days we couldn't even get to this point in a few hours. So we need to wait 24 hours until we could get the second coat. Dry, finally. I mean, that's not like perfect, smooth surface. But this is the top, so no one's gonna see this. That's the reason why we try on the top first, and now is the tricky part. We're gonna flip, and we're gonna do the underneath part where it's gonna be visible, so now we need to do a better job. Not that this is bad. This, it's good for its purpose. It's watertight. Water won't go anywhere now. But, doesn't look as good as the other side is gonna look. So basically, epoxy for us this time was a game of patience. We need to come, sand a little bit, epoxy a little bit, go back home, come back, sand, epoxy, sand, epoxy. So basically, this whole week was sanding, epoxying. But the good thing is, we got the chance to try all different kinds of possibilities we could have with epoxy. So basically, we had just clear liquid epoxy, and then we had epoxy with cloth, with fiberglass cloth. And we also tried epoxy fillet. That means epoxy mixed with aerosol and microspheres. That gets a thicker paste.
So you can apply on the vertical surface?
In the corners.
Yeah.
So you can make like a round corner. And at the same time, if you sand this filler, makes so much smoother. The surface gets like really, really smooth. Well, I hope you guys like it, enjoyed this boring episode. It's just the same of the same of the same, but
Yeah, but we have fun during the process. Doesn't matter what we are doing, right?
Yeah, we really enjoyed the process. It was really cool, even though the weather was terrible this week. But the process of trying to do epoxy was, was pretty cool.
Yeah, we like to see the progress.
But now there is the sad part of the episode. We have bad and good news.
That's sad.
Yeah, but
Not that bad as well.
Yeah, it's true, but yeah, it's kind of.
The bad news is that we won't keep doing the Thursday episode anymore.
We're gonna go back to the
Yeah.
The original format, but we're gonna try to make it shorter and more dynamic, so we can give you the informations, but we can focus on building.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you guys know, as we talked last week, that was an experiment. And as an experiment, not necessarily it was gonna keep going, but at the same time, we have good news.
The good news is that we are gonna keep the odd talk, but
it's gonna be every once in a while. We don't have a specific day, and even better, we're gonna try to do live streaming.
Because the odd talk can be with you, not just between us.
Yeah,
right?
because if talk, you need to have two persons to talk.
Right.
One person. Yeah, but we are one. So basically, we need one person plus another 18,000 persons to talk to us, and that's gonna make it more interesting. I guess that's gonna turn this odd talk thing into something more cool.
We are gonna let you know when we are gonna do the first one, the first odd talk with you.
The second, but the first live, yeah.
And if you have any suggestion about the topic we can talk about,
yep, that's true.
You can let us know.
Just send us a comment.
And we want to thank all the feedbacks we had about this Thursday episode. They were really good.
It's just amazing. It's just, I don't know, it's just crazy to wake up, post a video, and for an entire day you just get like really cool feedbacks. You get really cool positive messages, and people just supporting us and making us feel confident about what we're doing and confident to keep going. And that's just really cool.
And we also want to thank a new patron.
Yeah, we have a new patron today.
That's another thing that keeps us doing the project.
Yeah. It just helps us a lot to believe that what we are doing is sustainable, because it's not that the entire house is financed by Patreon. It's not. We just make a little money on Patreon. It's almost nothing, but this little, it's something that shows us that people believe in us, and that shows us that if we keep doing what we're doing, this might become sustainable, for us to keep going and to keep doing video for longer. And that's really cool. And we have news.
Her name.
No, but yeah, it's just.
Her name is John Ferguson. Sorry for the
John,
mispronunciation.
thanks so much for the support. That means a lot. And now we have. If you are a patron that you support us with, I don't know. You can check out on Patreon. But one of the perks is this sticker. We just got the new stickers yesterday. That's really cool. I have an Odd Life phone now. That's pretty cool. So guys, you guys that have been waiting for the sticker, don't worry. Tomorrow we are gonna put on the mail, and that means really soon you're gonna get a sticker. A few actually. As you wait for a long time now, you're gonna get a few, not just one. That's pretty cool.
Next week.
Next week. So next week we're of course gonna try to finish the canopy. And we have one thing that we forgot. It's hard to think about the whole process before it happens. We forgot that if we want to install the canopy, that means that we need to paint the whole side of the house. And that's not something that we were planning to do right now. So basically next week we're gonna paint the south side of the house. It's gonna be the final color, probably, hopefully. And then we're gonna install the canopy, right?
And next week we are also planning to talk about how much the canopy costs.
Oh, that's cool.
And the materials we will use it.
That's true, yeah. Because a lot of people have been asking if it's worth to doing plyglass or not, if it's expensive or cheaper than doing on the steel.
We were curious. Yes.
Yeah, we are also curious because I always think, should I try to build a steel boat or a wooden boat? And I never know the answer of the price question. And that's a small, it's something that we can measure. It's not a boat, of course, but you can measure which one was expensive, and that's pretty cool.
And easier to do the welding or the plyglass.
Yeah. So next week we're gonna show you the list of materials and the price of everything.
So if you're curious, just come back next week, right?
Yeah. So see you guys next Monday. Today we post last week's video, and someone asked why we glue the wood with epoxy instead of just wooden, glue. I don't know. Wooden glue probably would work fine, but as we are trying to build as close as we can to how they build boats, and we want to learn, it's just like a test, because if one day we want to build a wooden boat, we need to know how to glue wood with epoxy, and it was a good opportunity just to try, because I don't know, why not try different things? We just glue a lot of things with wooden glue already, but we never had glue things with epoxy, so just to give it a try, right?
Yeah.
And it looks good, and we like it, and it's really strong. I think, and I guess it's stronger maybe.
It's easy to work actually.
Yeah.
Not the fiberglass. The fiberglass is not easy.